Jessica Mulroney just shocked everyone by loudly denying that she is writing a tell-all on Meghan, saying absolutely not, and swearing she would never betray her trust. But the real tea is insiders believe this dramatic denial is not about loyalty at all, and is actually a genius move to play the publishing game. Because think about it, when you say no to something people want, they only want it more. And in this case, big publishing houses were already fighting each other with 7-figure bids, and now, after her bold absolute not, they are reportedly throwing even bigger offers on the table. Insiders claim her words were basically code for making an offer I can't refuse. And instead of calming the storm, she just turned the heat up. And both Meghan and the publishers are left scrambling in completely different ways. So while Meghan is freaking out and calling her lawyers in a total panic because she knows Jessica holds secrets that could ruin her whole brand, insiders say the denial that sounded like loyalty is actually the smartest chess move ever. Because in the publishing world, saying yes too fast makes a book look cheap, but saying no makes it look rare and priceless. And now every big publisher wants it more than ever. And here is the kicker insiders whisper. Jessica and her team have been testing the waters for months, long before she said absolutely not, which means the whole thing was planned, like a power play. Her denial was not the end, it was the start. And now it is being used like fuel to make the bidding war explode even higher, while Meghan spirals, watching the value of her former best friend's story skyrocket. So basically what is happening now is Jessica saying absolutely not has turned into the smartest marketing trick ever, because instead of killing the rumor, it has made her story look even more rare and precious. And now publishers are falling over themselves to throw money at her. Insiders say the offers that started in the 7-figure range have blown up into what they call stupid money territory, with publishers promising not just huge advances, but also global rights, big marketing campaigns, and even documentary tie-ins. And the reason they are going so wild is because Jessica is not just some random ex-friend. She was right there through the biggest royal moments, from Meghan meeting Harry to the wedding and the drama after. So her side of the story feels priceless to readers. And the craziest part is her silence after that denial is only making publishers more certain that she is negotiating behind the scenes, which means the bidding war is still alive. And Meghan, meanwhile, is watching all of this happen, knowing that the longer it drags on, the more dangerous it gets for her carefully crafted image. So now the buzz is that Jessica is staying totally quiet on purpose, while her team weighs which publisher will not only throw the biggest pile of money at her, but also let her shape the story the way she wants. And while she is playing it cool in the background, things are reportedly spiraling in Montecito because Meghan is said to be freaking out. Big-time friends say she calls this whole memoir talk her worst nightmare, and even though Jessica said absolutely not, Meghan knows her too well to buy it. She thinks it is just a trick to drive up the offers, and that is why she has been glued to her phone calling lawyers and refreshing news sites non-stop, insiders claim. She has even asked her legal team if there is any old NDA or legal rope she can use to block this. But the problem is, Jessica was never officially tied to the palace, so stopping her is almost impossible. One source said the lawyers basically told Meghan that if Jessica really decides to spill her side, there is no real way to keep the book from hitting shelves, and that harsh reality is what has her completely on edge. And now the whispers are saying the scariest part for Meghan is not just the idea of a book, but the fact that Jessica might actually have piles of proof to back up every single word, because insiders claim Jessica was super careful and kept what they are calling the receipts during their whole friendship, like screenshots, texts, maybe even behind the scenes, photos from all those royal milestones. And this is what is making publishers go wild and Meghan lose sleep. Friends say she is barely resting, pacing around nervous, and always saying it feels like she is waiting for a shoe to drop, because she knows if Jessica decides to take one of those giant offers, she cannot fight back without looking exposed. And the rumor is those receipts could give people a front row seat to the real story, from engagement plans to the wedding build-up and the early days of her life with Harry, which makes the whole thing even more terrifying for her, because it means the truth would not just be told, it would be shown. And this is where things get really wild, because whispers say the most dangerous part of Jessica's alleged receipts is not just about private chats with Meghan, but about what she might have seen inside the royal family itself, because unlike staff or distant observers, she was right there in the middle of family moments. And the tie makes it even bigger, since she was closest to Meghan during the most dramatic years of her royal life, which means she might have proof that could either support or totally tear apart the stories we have all been told. And the one moment everyone keeps talking about is the Princess Charlotte bridesmaid dress drama from 2018, because this fight has been fueling gossip for years, with different sides claiming Meghan made Kate cry or Kate made Meghan cry. And now insiders are saying Jessica was not just near it, she was literally part of it, since her own daughter was a bridesmaid, so she had a front row seat to the chaos publishing. Insiders insiders are buzzing that her side of the story could finally expose exactly what went down, who was there, what was said, and even how the kids reacted. And if she really reveals all that, it could either clear Meghan's name once and for all, or make the whole scandal explode into something 10 times bigger. And now comes the juicy twist, because one insider whispered that Jessica might actually want to speak up about how Princess Charlotte was treated during the bridesmaid dress fitting. And that means her story may not just be about picking sides between Meghan and Kate, but about protecting the kids who got dragged into the mess. And you can imagine why publishers are going crazy for this, because this one dress drama has fueled endless gossip headlines and even documentaries for years. So a first-hand account could either finally close the book on it, or throw gasoline on the fire and make it explode all over again. And that is why the bidding war is climbing into seven-figure deals. But here's the kicker: sources say Jessica knows she could pay a heavy personal price if she goes there, because unlike the royals who chose public life, Charlotte and the other kids never signed up for any of this. So Jessica's willingness to dive into it shows how serious she is about setting the record straight, no matter what it costs her. And what really has people buzzing is that her version allegedly does not match either of the stories we've already heard. Instead, it paints a whole new third picture, one that might lip how everyone's the entire scandal, and possibly even expose how the palace itself may have shaped the way the public understood it. And if Jessica really tells all in a memoir, it won't just be another royal tell. All it will be the closest, rawest look at behind-the-scenes chaos of Meghan's royal years, something fans, critics, and the entire publishing world have been dying to get their hands on. And here's where it gets even wilder, because publishers are literally drooling over what they call Jessica's front row pass into the royal machine at its messiest moment. And sources say she saw it all, like how the palace actually builds their media spin when no cameras are around, how the family deals with ugly fights in private, and how life-changing decisions for millions are made in secret rooms. And one publishing boss even teased that talks about her book are centered on her power to rip away the shiny masks and show the true faces of the senior royals behind closed doors. And the time could not be more dramatic, because she was closest to Meghan right when the family was struggling to drag their ancient traditions into the modern world, and she reportedly watched debates about everything from what Meghan should wear to how big her role should really be. And insiders whisper that her revelations could finally show the world just how intense the clashes were inside those palace walls. But the real goldmine is what she allegedly knows about the private showdown that ended with Meghan and Harry walking away from royal life. Because forget the polished statements and the friendly TV interviews, Jessica apparently knows the real story of the shouting matches, the family showdowns, and the game of strategy that led to Megxit. And just that chapter alone has publishers throwing around seven-figure offers like candy. And the gossip doesn't stop there, because insiders claim she even witnessed awkward moments between William and Harry, saw how Charles handled the chaos of Meghan entering the fold, and maybe even glimpsed how the Queen herself reacted in those tense family talks, meaning this could be the most raw, unfiltered peek into royal life the world has ever seen. And get this, one insider is saying that Jessica could actually give people the most real look into the royals since the days of Princess Diana. And that is exactly why the palace is nervous, because she reportedly knows all the tricks, all the behind the scenes, ways they twist stories to protect some royals and bury others, and she saw it happen with her own eyes during the most heated moments of Meghan's royal ride. And publishers know that if this story comes out, it could totally change how people see not just Meghan, but the whole royal machine trying to balance old traditions with modern pressure. And the reason publishers are ready to drop millions is simple. Jessica was not just some random friend, she was the ride or die, the vault of secrets. The person who knew every little detail about Meghan's life, from the Hollywood hustle to the fairy tale wedding and everything. After that, their friendship went way back to days before Harry, when Meghan was still just hustling on cable TV, and Jessica was making her name as a top stylist in Canada. And that bond before the royal spotlight gave her the rarest insight into who Meghan truly was before the palace polished her image into something else. So picture this: one old friend spilled that Jessica knew the raw, unfiltered Meghan in ways even family didn't. She saw the hustle, the dreams, the messy relationships, all before the tiaras and titles. And when Harry came into the picture, that's when Jessica really became ultimate royal insider, because Meghan told her everything, like literally every secret, every worry, every plan during those first fragile months of dating Harry. And whenever something big happened, she was the first call, which means Jessica got details no palace press release ever touched. She was right there during private calls about wedding rules. She heard the behind-the-scenes stress. She saw Meghan's real reactions too, royal decisions and brutal media stories. And that gave her an inside view of how Meghan honestly felt stepping into this overwhelming royal world. And the craziest part is Jessica didn't fade out like others. She stuck around through the messiest months, the lead up to the massive decision decision to ditch royal life, making her the one person who might actually know the full uncut version of how it all went down. So, here's the wild part. People close to the drama say Jessica wasn't just a friend. Hanging around, she was right there in the middle of the private chats and secret planning before Meghan and Harry dropped their bombshell exit, which means she might be one of the only people who really knows why they walked away. And that's why publishers are drooling over her, because she basically saw Meghan's full story like a movie, starting as an ambitious actress, then struggling under the crown, then flipping into global activist, and that kind of arc is a jackpot for books, movies, and everything in between. And then boom, in 2020, the friendship went up in flames when Jessica's fight with blogger Sasha Exit over white privilege blew up online, and what looked like just another influencer feud actually became the breaking point of years of hidden tension and loyalty clashes. Meghan kept her distance to protect her social justice image, and Jessica felt thrown under the bus, abandoned at the worst time. And now insiders whisper that this resentment could be the fire behind the most explosive tell-all ever. So get this, the silence from Meghan when Jessica was being dragged in public cut way deeper than anyone knew, because insiders say Jessica had always defended Meghan through scandals, drama, and hate. But when her own storm hit, she expected backup, and instead, Montecito stayed quiet, and that felt like the ultimate betrayal. And truth is, the cracks had started earlier because people close to them claimed Jessica felt pushed aside after Meghan married Harry. Like she was good enough to help behind the scenes, but not good enough to stand next to in public. And after years of loyalty, she started to feel used and then tossed away when she wasn't convenient anymore. And it wasn't just personal either. Her career got wrecked too, because first her link to Meghan opened doors, and then the friendship's messy end slammed those same doors shut, costing her clients and jobs. So now, some say Jessica looks back on the whole friendship as one big shadow over her life filled with regret, resent, wasted loyalty, and that mix of pain and anger is exactly the kind of thing that finally pushed her to spill, especially now that publishers are waving around millions at the very moment she might be ready to let it all out. So here is where it gets wild, because people close to the situation say Jessica has had enough time to cool off, and now she is no longer just hurt. She is calculating, like she is weighing how much her silence has cost her against how much money and peace of mind she could gain by finally spilling. And that makes this whole thing look less like a broken friendship and more like the smartest publishing chess game ever played. Because even though she screamed absolutely not in public, insiders whisper that her team has still been talking to publishers behind the scenes, asking what kind of offer would make her change her mind. And the genius in this move is that by saying no first, she looks like the loyal friend who would only ever break silence if it was truly necessary, which makes any future book look more honest, more reluctant, and way more believable to readers, which of course makes it sell better. Meanwhile, Meghan is said to be spiraling because her lawyers told her flat out there is basically nothing she can do to stop Jessica if she goes ahead with it. So now she lives in constant fear, not knowing if or when the bomb will drop. Insiders say it feels like she has a sword hanging over her head, and every day she wakes up wondering if today is the day. And the irony is that for years, Meghan had all the power in the friendship while Jessica played the loyal supporter. But now the roles are flipped, and suddenly Jessica holds the biggest weapon over Meghan's future, and whether she stays silent or cashes in will shape not just their story, but maybe even inspire other ex-friends of celebs to sell their secrets too. So the million-dollar question left hanging in the air is, will Jessica choose silence or the story that changed everything?